Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tech It Up with Cafe Cultura. And we love to highlight and talk with all of our favorite founders, people of color, and minorities. And I'm excited to have our next guest. It's somebody I've worked with in the past. And I'm looking forward to what she has coming in the future. So let's get this interview started and welcome today, Kenny. Hi, Kenny. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great. Excited to have this conversation with you. We've had fun in the streets of Miami and now coming to you through the beautiful internet and our world of tech. I'm glad that we bumped into each other and I'm glad to have this interview with you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here, Jayla.
No problem. So let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about your company. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Right. So, hello everyone. I'm Kenny Guinto, or actually, I just go by the name Kenny Berylle now because it's easier to pronounce for people. So, Kenny Berylle. Those are my two first legal names, by the way. So, I started being intrigued with developing products at a young age. So, I'm from the Philippines, and in the Philippines, there's not a lot of innovation there. So, I wanted to be the next Lori Grainer when I was young, but in the Philippines, or like the Filipino version of Laurie Grainer. So I just fell in love with the process of developing products. So I took that as I went to school for it and then took it as a career, developing products, helping other companies develop products, and manage several types of products in the past, including hardware development, IoT, OEM, and software. And having worked in the startup environment made me realize like there's a gap between the technical leadership of new startup founders, and some startup founders, they don't have that technical expertise to lead a team, or let alone sometimes at times lead themselves. So I built Eclisse to address those issues, to kind of bridge the gap between the technical teams and the startup founders. So if they have an idea, we basically take their idea and make it into a reality. Going with that for a year, within the first year, I realized, after working with some new startup founders, um, I realized that there's another gap, and not just in there's just another gap in leadership with startup founders. And it's not just in the technical realm of things, it's also in the leadership of their self-governance and others. So I realized that there's another gap there, because if you cannot lead yourself, then it will be difficult for you to lead
Yeah.
startup company, because startup companies, it's honestly not easy. It's the hardest thing you'd ever put yourself into, and that's why I'm very empathetic to them, because I was in a startup for like 4 years. I was one of the founding team members, and we were working crazy. Like, we were just doing
Absolutely.
whatever to survive, and eventually, like, we actually was succeeding. We've developed several products. There's a lot of all-nighters, and a lot of startup founders, they have no idea what's coming for them. Like, problems will come up when you least expect it, and 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 after I started like working with startup founders on the technical side of things to bridge them the right team, I realized that I also want to tackle the the topic of leadership in not just your startup but also within themselves. So I started to do research podcast called Interviews, to understand founders a little bit better on their perspective and their journeys, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
We're going to talk a little bit more about interviews in a couple minutes. But I wanted to bring up the fact of what you mentioned about founders kind of being a one man band almost at times. I think the easiest part is picking what you envision and
Mm-hmm.
starting the company, because other than that, everything becomes, then you got to do, it goes from A to B to C, D, E, F, G. And
Mm-hmm.
you got to do your own media, you got to do your own PR, you got to do, like you said, your product, your leading, and all of these things are, you you think, I'm going to start my company and this is just going to come, but sometimes it doesn't come naturally for people.
Yeah. No.
Sometimes there's certain things where it's like, okay, I really need help with this, like I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm really strong at the media side of things, and I would like somebody else to handle the business. That's the part that I
Yeah.
don't like. So tell us a little bit more about your working with the leadership role after having been in that startup.
In the startup that I was working at.
Yeah, because obviously one thing led to another, which obviously
Right.
led you to your vision with your company. So how was that transition? Like, where was that, like, oop, I need to do this moment?
Right. So a lot of startup founders, they have an idea, right? They have an idea, bam, like they were like, we're gonna do this. I don't know how, but we're going to do it. And the problem with that is that it's just an idea. They don't have the technical background at times. If you're a technical founder, hey, kudos to you. But if you're someone who's not technical and cannot articulate the requirements to create this product, sometimes it becomes like it's almost what you call it, like it's almost like impossible in a sense that there's no sense of direction because they can't articulate the roadmap, the product development roadmap, and cannot articulate to the team what's the next steps. And so oftentimes what happened in the startup that I was working at is that um, we have like messed up schedules because of um, high expectations to complete a product within a specific period of time, and it's not
Yeah.
completely well researched back, like like for example, let's say, hey, I want to make a login button for that works this and this and that. But then they would say, okay, it would take us, like, it should be easy, it should just be easy. Like, you think it's easy, but there's a lot of like um structure and software architectural structure that has to happen in order to host, let's say, if you have like millions of people using your product, your software product, it's you have to build it to be able to host that many users in the first place. It's like building a house. If you build a house that's small, like an apartment, you could only fit so much people.
Yeah.
Or if you build a building, right, like a massive building, you could host a lot of people in there, but also the structure of it could withstand the weight and then the weather that comes. So there's a lot of other things that has to be prepared that other startup founders that are non-technical don't understand. So I wanted to make sure to bridge that gap to them because uh, everyone now thinks like, oh, we have AI, everything could just be done like this and
No.
that. Yeah, like, okay, you could do stuff like at a basic level, but if you want to take it up a notch, and if your goal is to create a world class brand that have like millions of users or maybe hundreds of thousands of users, you have to build accordingly. So that's where I found the gap in leadership, in technical leadership for founders, and I wanted to bridge that gap through Eclisse.
And that's such a big gap. And when I think of what you're saying in the conversation, it feels like more of a decoder, like a translator, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
translating the tech side to somebody who's non-technical. And that's such a, being from a non-tech technical aspect of things and then going into the tech world. Now I see that. I see that, it's not like you said, that login button is not as simple as, oh, I'm just going to like this button and I'm going to move it and drag it and copy and paste it. Like, no, it needs to be built out. Like, there's more to it. And you're right. A lot of people don't understand that, or they think it's like a snap of a finger, like AI. And it really isn't. Like I feel like all the great software, all the great things in tech that have been happening have a huge technical background that people just don't see. They see the finished
Mm-hmm.
product, and the
Yeah.
finished product might look easy or simple, but that simplicity is very intricate in the behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's easier to look back on things and say, "Oh, that was easy," than looking forward and trying to identify how to get to the goals that we've set, right? And yeah, like that goes for anything really. And AI is a powerful tool to get like things that are uh t- that could be done faster. But then if you think about it, if you use AI as a tool, it will it can expedite some certain things, but the other parts of the structure of the software architecture structure still has to be built out properly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I said, I always like to compare software architecture with buildings, because uh for example, AI could design what the building could look like, the exterior of things, but to build out a properly structured building, you have to dig underground, you have to put the structures in place
Yeah.
to at least have that estimate of how much could this building take in the future, so there's still some planning out that needs to be done. So and I think still startup founders still need to understand that, because they still have that mindset like, oh, everything should be done and fast now. But it's just it's AI is just there to expedite the things that could be done much faster, but still needs to be built properly from the ground up.
I know that a lot of people, and obviously this is an opinion, this is a personal take on how you see things. Um, with the with how do you feel about AI and how quickly? I know it hasn't been quick in the back of, in the tech world, but how
Mm-hmm.
quickly in the commercial world, where, like you said, now everybody thinks you could do everything with AI, how that's affecting these companies and how, like, as founders, like, because a lot of people get confused. Like, for me, I would think, like, I don't want to do anything with AI, like, because then I feel like AI, in a sense, owns that intellectual property. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So how do you feel about it, and how do you see it working and not working in the future?
Right. So that's a great question. AI, in a sense, is a very, very powerful tool. So if you just want some, like, for example, you're a media person and you need to be able to come up with a script, maybe template, right, for your interviews. AI would be good to kind of like map that out. But when it comes to like personalizing it, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to personalize it. Because you know, uh, if you don't try to personalize it, it kind of make it everything, to be kind of standard. Like it doesn't it loses the touch of innovation. I think if you use AI as a tool to build some basic foundation, then you could like innovate from there and focus on the harder tasks, right? So for me, like I still need some guidance on creating a product requirement document, right, for clients. But I still need to input some data, like personalized data there, that would kind of like make it unique to what my goals are and achieves my goals. As far as like intellectual property, um unless like you put it unless you put it in, honestly, I heard that software, they don't really have a lot of like intellectual property protection out there. So it's kind of like, it's really up to you if you wanted to trademark something that you feel is very proprietary. But companies like Tesla, especially Elon Musk, don't believe in protecting your intellectual property, because it kind of like defeats the purpose of innovation. So it's really depends on your perspective on things. If you created something truly novel, then keep your ideas separate where it's private, but you could still use AI as a tool to kind of like guide you on a proper roadmap. Um, and yeah, then you could probably trademark something, or because once you put your name in it, trademark, or sorry, not trademark, copyright for software, copyright, and then there's also software patents. And if you're doing a hardware, hardware innovation, then yeah, patent it if you really believe that you've created something truly novel, or you want to protect it for at least 2 years or 10 years, 1 to 10 years, like yeah, 1 to 10 years. But eventually it will be a free for all idea anyway, so it's
Oh,
really up to
absolutely.
you how you want to protect your idea.
Oh, who is a dream uh partnership for Kenny and Eclisse? You want to
A
work with the
dream.
Elon Musks, or do you want to, keep it different? Like, what is your dream founder to work with?
The dream founders I want to work with are people who have a mission and purpose. Like like you don't have to tell them to not give up, you know? And Elon Musk is Elon Musk because he didn't give up. He really believed in his ideas. He always pivoted and found a way to make things work. Um that's the same way for me. Like I've learned over the years that I do have a criteria for founders, because not only that we help bridge like technical expertise, we also bridge opportunities, and these opportunities, they come my way. It's not easy to get for other people, but I somehow just land these opportunities, that I'm currently working on, like network is a very very powerful tool that people don't know how to use at times, so
Nope.
I want to work with founders who really have a mission. Like, what problem are you solving? Who already identified who is their ideal, like who are they serving, right? They have to have a mission. They have to have a problem that they want to solve. They have to have identified um, the customers they want to serve, and really believe in that, and find ways to make it work. Those are the kind of founders I'm looking for, because then I would love to give them the opportunities, and these opportunities are free. We don't charge for them, but we do have to maintain some of these relationships. So it's just a matter of belief system and character for me.
You mentioned, you brought up the topic of networking, and for me personally, I'm huge. Like they say, your network is your net worth,
Hmm.
and I think that is so important. So, how important is networking, and what piece of advice do you give up and coming founders about networking? Because there's a wrong way to network and there's a right way to
Yeah.
network.
Yeah, it's really depending on your intent, but yes, networking is probably one of the most powerful tools as a startup founder that you need to have, at least the skill and tool that you need to have and know how to use. Because sometimes it's not even about how smart you are, or how great and novel your idea is,
Or how
if
much
you're not
money you have.
yeah,
Like,
or how much money you have, if you don't know how to, that's why I told you belief system is very important, because when you have a strong belief system, you start to attract the right people in, and they're going to be like, why do you believe in this product so much? And you start to bring these people in, and you're attracting them. As a founder, you need to have a really strong belief system, so you attract the right networks within your circle. Then those networks will be able to help you, to give you get you to the next door of opportunity, because you never know who you're meeting. You never know who knows the right person to give you that funding, or maybe give you that big break that you're
yep.
looking for. You need to be able to be resourceful and build those relationships. Also, that also comes, is very useful when you're building out your started founding team, right? You need to have people to believe in your mission. Sometimes, if you're good, if you really created something that affects many people, that they feel like it could improve people's lives, you can create a founding team with sweat equity. I mean, I don't like to tell that out there, but it is a technique that you could utilize as well. If people believe in your product, you can get people to work for sweat equity, and then the conversation is up to you guys. If you don't want to give up equity, then yeah, just pay them what they're worth, or you find an investor that believes in your idea, or you as a founder, and get them to invest in you. So you won't be able to find these opportunities if you don't know how to network. And the money is out there. The money is overflowing out there, and you need to be with the right people. Not only the people who believe in you, who want to give you the funding, or maybe the labor, the skill sets that you need to build your founding team. You need the people to help build you as a person, as a leader, and also the company uh, uh, as a whole. So
For some of the founders that have these amazing ideas, but are scared to start or don't know where to start or how to start, what piece of advice do you give them?
if you are a founder and you want to get started on something and you don't know how to get started, find out the problem that you want to solve. What is the main problem that might
Love
have
that.
affected you in the past? Maybe it affected you in the past, or maybe it didn't. Maybe it was someone else's problem, and you want to solve that problem in order to serve them, to improve their life, whoever that person is. Then identify what that person is, basically creating a user profile, called uh, ideal customer profile, ICP. So you're identifying who is your target customer, who has these pain points, right? And then solve their problem, and then start to kind of like just start from there. Don't even overthink it, and then start to look for them, and uh start to like see if you could serve them in any way, shape, or form. And if you find out that you could serve them and they are willing to pay the price for it, then start building out your product, idea, service, or goods. Just start with the idea, problem, and problem solution statement, and identify who is the group of people or the ideal person that you are trying to serve. Because then, if you try to build a product and if you haven't identified those things, you will struggle in marketing, and also selling the package as a whole, to like it wouldn't resonate with people, because you can't serve everybody's problem. You can only serve one
Yep.
at a time with a specific product or service. So yeah, just start from there.
See, this is where we give these little gems here at Tech It Up with Cafe Cultura, that we want to make sure our founders, our current founders, sometimes need a little reminder. But I'm glad to be able to have you on to share some of these tips as well. Tell us about, I know we're going to wrap up. We have a few minutes left. Um, tell us, what is the future for Eclisse look like?
Right. So Eclisse is going through a pivot point where we're really trying to identify who we want to serve. Right. And as I've mentioned in the past, I want to serve founders who have a real mission and a problem that they want to solve, and they have strong belief system, and they really believe that this product or service could help people's lives. And also, I really want to hone in on character when it comes to working with these types of founders, because like I said, we do bridge in opportunities, and these relationships are not easy to attain. So yeah, like Eclisse is starting to become a venture studio. So we will be developing our own products in the health and wellness space, and still work with other founders that need help with development of their products. And yeah, and we're also doing a research series called interviews, where we're targeting and researching on the leaderships in, the experiences of startup founders and other leaders and aspiring leaders in their journey through self development. So, yep, Eclisse is going to become a venture studio where we develop our own products and uh, and help other founders to develop their products while also doing a research series called interviews.
So you guys are going to be in the trenches while you're also helping people through the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, if we're in the trenches anyway, we're always gonna find opportunities, and only gonna get better. So if anyone want to partner with us to develop a product, like we have like uh we could assist with that. There's different ways to collaborate, and I'm open to negotiations if anyone wants to work with us to develop products or have access to our networks. The sky's the limit in there. So it's the pivot point that I'm super excited to go through, because now we're not just trying to serve every startup founder, we're serving mission and purpose driven founders, because this is a long journey. Like, you can't
Yeah.
just expect perfection. So we're gonna be there with you. However, you gotta be willing to grow and pivot with us together, and we'll make it work. We'll find ways and new opportunities to make things happen as far as their goals are. So
What is the best way for potential partners or potential VCs or potential, whoever wants to give us money? What is what is the best way for them to contact you and Eclisse?
right. So the best way to contact me right now, because we're going through renovations in our website, so it's kind of currently down. Um, the best way to contact me is to email me at kenny.guinto@eclisse.io, or DM me on Instagram or at eclisse.io Instagram page, or schedule an interview research with me so I could kind of qualify you if I want to work with you. Hey, everything is, you know, I just want to get to know you better. If you are to work with me, relationship is everything. So shoot me a DM or schedule an interview series with me, and let's get to know each other.
I love that. I've also provided the info below. Um, your email is on there. And the best
There should
way,
there should be a dot in between Kenny and dot Ginto.
yeah, it didn't. Let me go. There it goes.
That's fine. They could just DM me there at Kenny Berry.
There it goes. Uh, That way they can contact you and they can, like you said, if potentially not work with you directly, you can connect them to the right place, because I know even just sometimes finding guidance is such a hard thing to do. So I want to say thank you so much, Kenny, for being here with us today and sharing all of your knowledge and experience, because it's years of it. And I think that's so important to acknowledge and give people their flowers per se, of putting in all of the work, and learning from what they've learned, because it could be, like you said, a very, very bumpy road.
Yeah, it's so bumpy, and founders who are not prepared for the war, it's like going into war, honestly. If you're not prepared to go to war, if you don't have the right people around you, the right environment, the right support, it will be tough. Like, you could still probably make it, but you're probably beaten down the road, and people are your superpowers. We can't do everything alone. We got to help each other out.
I love that. We're going to end it with that, because that was powerful all in its own. We live in a very different world right now. So those words are really, really important. Thank you so much, Kenny, for being with us on Tech It Up with Cafe Cultura. It was such a pleasure, like always. And we'll be checking in with Kenny, as well as your favorite founders, for their updates and everything else. Thank you for another episode of Tech It Up with Cafe Cultura. Have a great day, guys.